Welcome back to another episode of the 100% podcast with me, your host, and today's guest, Harry Purdy. Today, I want to talk to you about sustainability because one of the things that is very easy to rely on and something that I wouldn't say I've been guilty of, but something I've been using in the past is transformation photos, right? For myself, for my clients in the fat loss only days, I guess. And one thing that I want to go straight into with this is that a 4, 8, 12 week transformation photo is insane, right? But one of the things that I want to talk about today, and something I don't talk about enough, is the self kudos that I should have or should give myself is very different to other coaches and other people, is that the sustainability of my weight loss has been for 8 years. So if we think about my worst scenario, 138 kilograms on the scales, and in between, let's just say roughly 96 to 102, like I fluctuate between those points, so like about a stone, a stone and a bit of weight. I kind of go up and down between now, and I kind of know when I need to accelerate a little bit of weight loss if I'm just starting to feel a little bit fluffy, and I know where really to hold on to my weight. And one of the things that has been based around is obviously at the start of the journey, it was around, all of the basics around calorie control, learning about what was in my food, increasing the habit of exercise in my lifestyle, adding different types of training, so and not relying just on cardio, but increasing the amount that I lifted weights, which then therefore gave me more muscle, which obviously then builds my engine, meaning that I can burn more calories and effectively raise the level of my own thermodynamics, which is the amount of calories that I'll burn in a day. Meaning that weight loss has been, I guess, easier for me to keep hold of over 8 years. But weight loss and calorie control is only one side of that. And I think that is something that we all need to be careful within the fitness industry and within coaching, is that I think it's quite prevalent that people hide behind that. And that's because as a member of the watching consumer audience, even to the extent of which I'll talk about in a minute, myself back in 2018 when I got to my biggest, is that we all kind of get drawn towards that quick result. And if you see a coach that can get somebody to lose 2 stone over 4 weeks, or you get somebody that looks thinner, is incisively the correct words, or definitely thinner over the course of 8 or 12 weeks in a comparison photo, that looks really, really effective and looks really good. And as consumers, we are drawn to what we would consider to be the quickest part of, or the quickest gain that we can get. And I guess there's like a warning shot, right? Because there's always way more behind that transformation photo than we could see. And do you know what? I'm not even going to hide behind it. When I first started my journey as a coach, I did my 90-day transformation, and it was around teaching people how to control their calories, giving people a calorie target, raising their levels of energy, levels of energy expenditure. And within that, it would then obviously create some changes over a period of time, which would equate to weight loss. It would equate to a 90-day transformation photo, and on the face of things, it would look really good. And one of the things within that I always feel bad about is, although the clients got given the tools to pick back up whenever they needed it, we created a change within the client, but not necessarily a mental transformation. We got a change within their body, but not necessarily a transformation of habit for a long, long period of time. And that's why I've thought about my coaching practices and what it is that I want people to achieve, because I don't want people to only get 90-day results with me. I want people to get lifestyle results with me. Hence why my programs now are longer, are based more around mindset and what I've learned. It's why I've created the book, because I don't want people to continually struggle with the same kind of things. And I think that's really important to remember. And I've gone on a bit of a tangent already, which is, we know how this podcast works, Harry Tangents, and there's normally some value within them anyway. I don't mind giving myself that credit. But you have to remember me at the start. I had tried these quick fixed things, salads for lunch only, eating the same couscous, Special K cereal, buying Slim Fast shakes, whatever it was. And obviously within that, there's some kind of thought process around myself, that I wasn't necessarily happy with how I looked, and I knew that I wanted to do something about it. But then there were other sides to that as well. Like, I found out that I couldn't run a mile. I found out that I would do, a week's full of salads, but then at a weekend maybe get a Chinese at McDonald's, and it would, I'd end up going back to the same habits eventually anyway, because I was doing something that could never last for a long period of time. I was doing something that I didn't really like. I was eating foods that I wasn't overly happy with. I wasn't overly enjoying, because who wants to eat tuna, salad and couscous every lunchtime? I know I definitely do not. And I think it's really important to remember that when we are starting a journey, it's really easy to get led into believing that weight loss will fix everything, and it doesn't. And that's what led to, me having the mental breakdown in 2020 at Christmas. And I do think that transformation photos, although they can give you a real a bit of eye candy, not in a weird way, like I'm looking at transformation photos and saying, oh, everybody looks sexy in them. I'm saying that it's really misleading, and it's very much a lure for the human eye to see that change and go, I want some of that, but you don't know what happens afterwards, if that makes sense. And I do think that it's a big kind of misconception in the fitness industry, is that fixes us, because it doesn't. What fixes us is sustainability, not just with around the habits of change and around the habits of weight loss and calories and exercise, because of course, eat less, move more, lose weight. And again, not taking anything away from the old me, in fact, or any other coach, anybody can tell you to do that. What makes a successful program is seeing that person who's gone through that program 12 months later, and they have improved the way that they think about themselves. They've improved their confidence. They're living life by design as such, which we will speak about in a minute with regards to the use of the journal and all of those kind of things. They know more about nutrition. And again, I'm not going to sit here and say that I've got a level 5 in nutrition. I've got a qualification in nutrition, but there are people out there, my friend Anna Marie, who's been on a podcast multiple times, would shit on me in a conversation around nutrition and around the habits and around the benefits of different foods and the mindset around it and all of those kind of things. But I'm not here to tell you about nutrition. I'm not here to tell you about weight loss. I want to help people create a version of themselves that they dream of, and I want to help you believe that you can do that too. And in a backwards way, I'm kind of shitting on things that I've done in the past, because I know that they work to a point, and it's why I've created what I've created. And this isn't a plug around, please buy my stuff today. This is just a reminder to us all that on the face of things, a transformation photo can look really good, but is that the only thing that you want? Because there's always a why behind the why. And your why of losing weight loss, so why do you want to lose weight loss? I want confidence. Yeah, but why do you want confidence? There would be something behind that too. And then I think that branch then can go into a multi-layered branch of I want confidence because I want to be able to stick up for myself better in my relationship. I want confidence to be able to choose correctly in a restaurant. I want confidence to be able to say no when my friends ask me if I want dessert or if I want a beer and I don't want to be judged. I want confidence to show up in the gym because I don't have confidence right now, so I'm not going to the gym because I'm scared of what people are thinking. I want confidence because I don't want to care what people think too much. All of those things equate into one basket, and it's like why do you want to lose weight? Confidence. And then you ask it again, and there may be a multi-layered dimension. And I guess I learnt that along the way of my own journey. And I think it's really important to remember that if you could see a before and after photo and then see the knock-on results of that. So, you know, my weight loss journey started by the fact that I couldn't sleep before a Grassroots Cup final and I wanted to let some energy off, so I thought I'd go for a run. I then realised I couldn't run a mile, and that was the not the kryptonite, because that's a weakness thing, but that was the dynamite or the fuse that set off the dynamite to the trajectory of what I've achieved now. With my book, with the ultras, with the marathons, with the PBs of running that I never thought I could get. That was the trigger. But if you'd have asked me on that day why I carried on, it would have been because it was a reality check for me. And you may have had your reality check recently. It may have been a t-shirt that doesn't fit anymore. It may be a bikini that you don't like the look of yourself in. It may be the fact that you somebody said something to you about your weight or your size. But when you look beyond the weight loss, what else comes with it? And I think that's the most important thing about any kind of weight loss journey. And the thing is as well, is that like when I was doing those mini kind of fasting diets, fad diets, whatever you want to call them, it was obvious why I was putting the weight back on. Because if you're not enjoying something, you're not going to stick at it for very long. But if you start to enjoy something and get some kind of life satisfaction out of your journey alongside the results of, you know, I'm feeling healthier, my mindset is clearer, I'm really clear on what I want to achieve, I feel fresher, my energy's better, my sleep is good, all of those knock-on effects will then free up time for you to, or free up mental clarity and mental space for you to then put time and effort into other areas of your life. So you then have like your number one goal at the top, starting with like a thought around weight loss, but you then have two prongs going off of that goal saying, right, one of those things is because I do genuinely want better wellness, fitness, and health. And then because you're doing those things, you then have more clarity to be like, okay, like I now have more clarity to chase a goal, a habit, or a passion that I've been putting off for very long. But when you draw those things together, it's when you create the real results, and it's something that doesn't just fall off the end of a cliff because you don't like what you're doing. I think when you start any journey, you have to find some, when you want to lose weight, it can't just be, I'm really careful about the way that I speak about weight loss, but if you want to lose weight, the best way about doing it is making it as enjoyable and as easy for you to stick to as possible, and then you're going to stick to it for a very, very long time. And that's what I have evidence of doing, and my clients that have worked with me for a long period of time have evidence of doing as well. And I think when we boil it down, like what is it that comes into that? I've wrote down some bits and bobs that make sense here. The first thing that's really important here is responsibility. So you cannot change your own identity. So like in 2018, I was 23 stone Harry. I didn't think of myself. I thought of myself as a bit of a Smithy character. Loved the beers, loved the football, loved the takeaways. I didn't think I'd ever do what I've achieved. But to get to where I've got now, I've had to drop an identity and had to take responsibility to become somebody different. And there's been many different rungs to the ladder, as we speak about that ladder analogy a lot on this show, to get to where I've gotten to. And then there becomes the identity change. So with taking responsibility, it allows you to change that identity, and you won't get real transformation. You can get change as the same person for sure, but you can't get transformation. And then with the responsibility and identity, to get those things, our brain loves evidence. So this is where the journal comes in. You can get the second point of this as well, or the next point on this list with this as well. Journaling is the number one habit that has changed my life, because it has given me the ability to prove to myself that I am changing by giving me evidence, by writing down small wins. So small wins, number one, to create evidence, number two, which then feeds into your identity. And then obviously you're taking responsibility by doing the actions that are getting you the small wins, which then enables you to get the identity change, right? And then when you do that enough, because you have changed your identity by taking responsibility, by proving to yourself that you can do something, by writing down little bits of evidence every day, celebrating those small wins, you will then create sustainability. And by doing all of this, and look, this isn't easy, by the way. Like, it would be very, very unauthentic and unreal of me to sit here and say, you know what, you can do all that in like 3 weeks. You can. You're going to pick up the journal and put it down again. You're going to go hot and cold for a little while. But the important thing here is intent and responsibility. If you can pick those two words up and do something with it, that sustainability of weight loss will happen for you. I could sit here and say, you want weight loss, let's put you in a real heavy deficit. Let's get you moving. Let's get you doing loads of cardio. Let's put you on 75 hard, essentially. If you don't know what 75 hard is, just go and Google it. Maybe I'll do a YouTube video on that one day. Maybe I'll do like 30, I really don't want to do it, but maybe I'll do some content around that one day. But that is the process to being able to achieve it. And when you get sustainability, it means that you will pick and choose when you do the habits that didn't serve you before. Like maybe drinking might be the thing. It's definitely been mine. Takeaways might be the thing. It may be skipping the gym was your previous habit, and now you don't do that. It may be that when you go away on holiday, you don't feel that it's your time to let your hair down and just eat and drink yourself silly with calories, because you know that that doesn't serve you anymore. That becomes a sustainable thing. And I'm not saying those things are bad on the offset. I'm just saying that they might be things that you as an individual may want to change. 8 years later, through following what is now the 100% principles, which I've built up along the way, I've decided to take rapid responsibility of where I was at. I then realized that it wasn't just calories in, calories out and movement that was going to make me who I wanted to be. It involved a multi-fronted attack or multi-fronted approach on who I was going to be. And when I took that multi-fronted approach on who I was going to be, take that responsibility, focus on sustainability, make it achievable, make it enjoyable, then we've managed to get the results. The medals on the wall behind me, the book, the podcast continuation, the improvement in fitness levels, the relationship sustainability and happiness. All of those things have come from not just focusing on weight loss, but focusing on sustainability as well. And that is how you can turn your relationship with your weight around and start thinking long-term rather than just short-term transformation photos. What's really important as well is that you don't just focus on a summer body for a short amount of time. Again, without sounding too cliche, your body, your ideal energy, your mindset, your health is built over years. It's a if you really want to talk about it, and I talk about this in the book, when you want to live as the best version of yourself, there has to be a moment in your life where you draw a line in the sand and you move forward with that line behind you forever. It can't be for 30 days. It can't be for 60 days. It can't be for 90 days. Your intention on yourself is forever. And that's when the penny may drop for you and you realize that this is a forever thing. Not that it's calories forever, not that you're tracking calories forever, not that you're doing like ridiculous cardio forever. That a focus on gradual mini wins, steady improvements will then keep you that sustainable result that you're looking for forever. I hope this podcast has been really helpful for you today. I would personally, if I was you, I'd maybe listen to some of this again and write down notes of how you can proactively put this in your life. If you have enjoyed the episode and you're like, shit, that really did resonate with me and I completely agree with you, Harry, drop me a DM on Instagram or Facebook and we can talk about how we can look to improve some sustainability or include some sustainability within your own life. This has been another episode of the 100% podcast, bite-sized episode on sustainability of weight loss. I hope you've enjoyed it. Make sure you like, subscribe below. And if you're listening on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, make sure you subscribe to hear more episodes like this and with other guests very soon. I'll see you here for a new episode most Fridays. Take care.